So, part two, I just realized that the recording software we have here only can record in 15-minute bites. I think this will be able to be wrapped up in part two. We shall soon see. So, those 10 items that you picked for the I'm about to be a castaway, I'm about to join kind of like a Gilligan's Island solo job. Now you have to bring it down to 5. So I will stop tape again, and then you will be able to cross out 5 of those 10 items that you originally chose and try and make do with with the better half, presumably, of what you chose in the first place. So stop the tape, and I'll give you a moment to do that. All right, so what was the difficulty with this activity? In fact, what's the point of an activity like this in an economics class? Well, the point is that this activity introduces the first lesson of economics into your decision-making process. So it takes what is the fundamental cornerstone of this course, not even just this course, this entire field, and it makes it obvious. It brings it to it shines a light on it in your decision-making process. And what is that? The idea of scarcity. And what is scarcity? There's never enough of anything to satisfy everyone's wants. Outside of paradise, this is just a fact of the human condition. To simplify that sentence, what I'm trying to say is that what you want is infinite. What I mean by that is you want more money, more health, more time, more friends, more caring, more respect, more power. And if you were granted some, the default setting for human beings is to want more. The problem with that is the world has limited resources. We cannot satisfy everyone's wants. And that's scarcity. Economics researches the decision-making process to deal with scarcity. That's the whole idea of the subject. And so that's probably why economics within the science community is called the dismal science. Because unlike political science, which I think tries to make the impossible possible in some cases, economics embraces the idea that there just will never be enough to make everyone perfectly happy. Perhaps that strikes you as obvious, perhaps that strikes you as depressing, but that is the fundamental idea that rests upon the field of modern economics, which I think is around about 260 years old, 240 years old, something like that. Adam Smith, 1776. Maybe that was the birth date of modern economics. At any rate, getting back to the activity, you may have chosen, since you couldn't have everything, maybe you kind of chose a quick rescue approach, which means you would have picked items that would have made you stand out as a speck on the ocean. That would have been a mirror to reflect the sun's rays, a flare gun, a magnifying glass for starting large-scale fires, so maybe that would have been noticed. Matches kind of accomplish the same thing. And also a flashlight, which is really useful to be seen at night from long distances. Perhaps instead you said, nope, I can't afford those kind of things. I need to get off this island as soon as possible. And if you decided to do that, these may have been in the mix of things that you picked. I would call this the setting sail option. Of course, there's also the going commando option, and that would be, I'm going to be here for a while. I can't rely on my seamanship in terms of sailing to some inhabited place, and probably no one's going to be visiting this island anytime soon. So these are the 5 items you'd pick in that respect. In either case, you couldn't have it all. You couldn't set yourself up for every eventuality, and that is just a fact of life. So that's our small group activity, which leads us to Econ and U. Just like that activity, and in your real life, and you could probably think of, I don't know, a handful of examples within a minute if you really put your mind to it, we have been forced to make trade-offs among 2 or more available options. Okay. For example, you had to make trade-offs among 40 options in order to pick 10. The consequences, as I've said before, the consequences of having to make these decisions, not being able to have it all, is economics. So you haven't studied economics at all to today, but you've been practicing economics for over 17 years. Look at you right now. You're at your home or perhaps somewhere in public listening, watching this video, and you've chosen that. So think about it. What haven't you chosen? What trade-offs have you made when you made the decision to be a virtual learner? Well, for at least the time being, you've traded away the ability to have this class in person. You've traded away anything else you may have been doing at this very moment listening to this video. So those are the kind of trade-offs. In fact, your entire life is the sum total of all the decisions you've made up to that point. So that's econ in you. It is embedded within us. In fact, it's even so much embedded within us. Does that fish know it's wet? Economics surrounds us so much that we don't even realize it's there. In the same fashion that maybe fish don't even understand that they're in a water medium, that they're within water, that there's anything else other than what they've experienced. You might be wondering, I've referred to economics as a science, and that seems odd because I'm certainly not in the science hallway. But I'm just trying to make this, yes, there we go, the math in this class link. Some people see economics as more of a math class. I really don't think so that much. Let me show you, I perused the curriculum recently, and I don't think this course is a math class. I mean, we'll use math. You use it every time you dial someone's phone number. So it's not that we're completely divorced from math, but the fact is you're not getting math credit for taking this class. We're going to be making some graphs. Yes, René Descartes will apply. We will be making some x-axis, y-axis, and putting some lines and labeling things, no doubt about it. But in terms of, what kind of math what kind of math abilities, what math skills need to be brought to bear in entry-level high school single semester economics, you're kind of looking at right down there. So I would say if you can do 7th grade level proportions, you're good to go. So $2.14 rubles, 63 rubles. Well, if it's $2.14, it's 1 for 7, 63, and 9. So there you go. So that's the level of the math that you're going to need. I mean, it's important. It's critical. If you don't have it, we're going to have to build it. We're going to have to find it somewhere and incorporate it. But don't think beyond 7th grade level mathematics. You'll just have to have mastery of that. Well, counter COVID was that the countermeasures that in-person children will have to undertake if we close down campus. That's not there. Whole class activity, you need a whole class for it. Icebreaker, we'll get to in just a moment. I'm not very good at icebreakers. I think I found a really good one though. In fact, might be the best icebreaker I've ever seen. Etiquette, your behavior. Now, of course, you're not in person, so a lot of these discipline procedures found on this booklet, I couldn't find a copy of the 2021 one in time to put in that bit of clip art, but they're kind of irrelevant to you, except for a couple things. Except for a couple things. And so what are those couple things? Well, they really are the fact that I get along with almost all students. But there are 2 behaviors that I think you got to avoid because I don't think I'm alone as a teacher in terms of struggling with these kind of behaviors. Here's number 1. That child is a teach me I dare you kid. If you can resist the temptation to put on the attitude of teach me I dare you, you're going to be so much more successful, not just in economics, but anywhere else you're going to find yourself as an employee or a student. The teach me I dare you is tough. That is the resistant to learning. You've kind of bricked yourself up at some sort of tall tower, and you've brought up the drawbridge, you've closed the door, and your windows are just these little slits upon which you can throw arrows or launch arrows at people, but you're not really receptive to bringing things in. That's going to make this class much more of a challenge than it should be. So that's one. The other is, of course, the student saboteur. That is to say, someone who is just trying to, and I think this is going to be hard for you to do in terms of a class saboteur. And the saboteur is someone who just wants to see a process break down. You can only do self-sabotage. Now, what would be an example of that? Never signing on to its learning, being late turning things in, letting everything pile up until the last minute. You don't want to do that. Remember 13 slides ago when we mentioned that this is a necessary class. And hopefully that's all the incentive you need. I'm going to try and do all that I can to make it palatable and interesting and engaging and challenging and successful, but ultimately it's on you. I can't write the test for you. So that's what I have to say about etiquette. Not too much, but those are the two things that just don't work. So let's watch a quick icebreaker. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, this guy looks like an icebreaker. Look at these kids over here. I wonder if he's next in line or if this is his uncle or father. Either way, let me get rid of this side. All right, there seems to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of ice. Again, this is our first day icebreaker. How do you think he's going to do? Now he looks like, oh, no, he's not backing out. A little bit of drama queen with this, but that's okay. It's okay. Look, when I'm 50, I hope I can pick up a piece of this ice, not just break it. Here we go, Sensei Sanjay. Break that ice. Break that ice. That belt is black for a reason, boys and girls. All right, that's our icebreaker. All right, so the final couple activities are irrelevant to the online learner. So I'll tell you what, this PowerPoint will be posted so you can explore it any way you want. Any of these links will take you right to that specific section. So if you want to rewatch the icebreaker, if you want to review my resume, if you want to try those math questions again, that's great. Just know that after watching this, there is a practice test, a practice task, a practice assignment, all online, waiting for you in this first day folder. So try out those things as well. Respond to those activities. Take that multiple choice test and demonstrate what you've learned in just the short time that I've been able to share with you some of my background, my interests, my passions, and of course, a little bit about the direction we're heading in this class. So again, I've had a lot of fun presenting this again. I hope this is of help to you. I'll be posting again soon. Take care.